Okay, so we're here at NAMM 2022, Tom Oberheim.
Yeah, hi everyone. It's fun to be here in a sense after all that's happened. The first time I came to NAMM was in 1970, and the first time I exhibited at NAMM was 1975 when I showed my monster Oberheim 4-voice, 8-voice, and I have to tell you a funny story about that. The Henry Goldridge, who was the manager, owner, manager, whatever, of Manny's Music, which was the big music store in New York for years, he came and said, "What is it?" And I said, "Well, it's a synthesizer that you can play four notes at a time on." "How much?" $4,000. He's $4,000. There's nothing in my store over $700 or $800, because in those days Les Pauls were $500 or $600. So NAMM is always interesting. It's grown tremendously, and
How's
I
it
always
changed?
see a lot of friends.
I guess it's changed quite a lot over those years as well.
Oh, tremendously. The first 15 or so years I went to the NAMM show, it was in Chicago, and it wasn't very crowded. But they started a little show in the basement of the Disneyland Hotel. Actually, that was in the mid-'70s, because Dave Smith showed his prototype of the Prophet 5 in that show in January of 1978, and it's gone from that, where we're just in the basement of the Disney. Now the NAMM show uses the whole thing here.
And so you're here to show off one of your new synths.
Yeah, there's a new Oberheim, which is a lot like an old Oberheim in that it's 3 Oberheims in one, sort of. It's a 5-octave analog synthesizer, which is not only does it have 3 modes of OBX. It can be an OBX mode, it can be OBX-A mode or OB8 mode. A tremendous amount of work has been done by Dave Smith's crew at Sequential, as well as a lot of help from Marcus Ryle, who of course was the founder of Line 6, in getting this. He was really involved in the early Oberheim synthesizers, and he worked diligently on getting the sounds tweaked inside the OBX-8, because the OBX-8 is not some kind of digital simulation using DSP. No, this is real, actual resistor by resistor, IC by IC recreation of the OBX, and it has OBX circuitry in it, which was SCM based, and it has OBX-A circuitry, it has OB8 circuitry, and when you switch from mode to mode, that's as close as you can get with hardware to the original, because they are essential duplications of the hardware of the machines that came out. The OBX, OBX-A, OB8, the 79 through 84.
It's amazing.
Now it's back. Now they are all back as one machine.
Nice.
And I'll tell you, it just sounds outrageously good. It really is those machines.
Superb. And how does it feel to have your name back on a modern synthesizer?
Well, it's been a long trek to get back into it. I made some attempts at doing synthesizers from the mid-1980s through the mid-2015, basically. But one person with not a lot of financing, wasn't easy to do stuff. But what's happened now is, just as a year and so ago that Sequential was purchased by Focusrite, the same thing has simply happened to me, but it's more in the order of Oberheim is now allied with Sequential. And again, with with the blessing and help of Focusrite.
Amazing. Incredible. And in terms of the development of the machine, were there any challenges in bringing this product to fruition?
I should say that the work that created the OBX8 is largely the Sequential crew, their hardware and software engineers, as well as Dave. Dave was very involved. I had consultation with him, and also, as I mentioned earlier, Marcus Ryle, who worked for me in the days of the OBX, OBX-A, OB8, kind of as a consultant, and he did a lot of work getting the sound right. And I'm very happy to be back in, and especially in a situation that's so well developed, and I don't have to go through the agony of starting up again.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a phenomenal sounding synth. It really does sound incredible. Yeah. Is there any sort of plan to bring this tech, this sort of analog digital fusion that you've created with Sequential? Is there any plan to bring that into new products?
I don't know. Were you at Super Booth?
Yes, I was. Yeah.
Well, you might remember they had the little thing on Saturday afternoon. It was Dave and Marcus Ryle and the moderator, and I was on the live Zoom call from a motel in Central California, and I got asked the same question. I said, well, you know, we're working on stuff, but you'll be the last to know.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. So yeah, you talked about Sequential being part of the programming behind it. Yeah, what sort of a team have worked on this synth? Like how many people? What was the development time on making it?
I don't know the exact breakup because I don't actually work at the Sequential facility. But basically, I think the hardware was pretty much done by Dave and an engineer named Tony Karabitas, and then they have some in-house software firmware engineers, and then they have consultants that we've all known for sound programmers that added their 2 cents. It's quite a large group of people that really contributed to this, and I suppose that's one of the reasons it sounds so good. Now, for instance, in a lot of cases, if you're an OBX or OBX-A or OB8 owner from years past, and you like patch B13, in a lot of cases you put that same B13 into OBX-A, and you'll hear that patch just like it was, 40 or whatever years ago.
It's incredible to have that technology at hand with all the sort of modern features that come along with it.
Well, that's what's really interesting, because you look at cell phones and you look at so many fields are just driven by the technology, and the technology is helped the business for sure. And Dave was really an expert. Dave Smith was really an expert in the technology, as with all the work he did at Korg, and then the stuff he did at Sequential, or the early Sequential. But analog was dead by the 1990s, and it came back. Dave got back into it, I think 2002, and then it really blossomed for him when he brought out the Prophet 08. And it's my own personal opinion, but I think it's largely to do with the dance crowd. A lot of them still love those old machines. It doesn't matter if it's an old Oberheim or the famous story of the TR-808 and all that. They love the old stuff, and the thing I was starting to say, unlike the cell phone industry or so many other electronic industries, this is old technology with new technology to help, but the inside of an OBX-8 is pretty much just like the originals from 1979 to 1985, except the control part is more modern. Up through the 1970s, when I started making synthesizers, it was like kind of an overgrown hobby in a way, because I'd done 11 years, very concentrated 11 years in the computer business, designing mini computers and other stuff, and I was kind of burned out. But when we came to when I say we, when me and my Oberheim people came to the NAMM show in the basement of the Disneyland Hotel in 1978, there was this Prophet 5, and it was like, whoa, wait a minute. You mean it's microprocessor controlled, you can store programs, you can store lots of programs, it does auto-tune. It was like, I guess like we either got to decide we're going to be in the business or not be in the business, and that's when my engineer at the time, Jim Cooper, and I scratched our heads. In fall of 1978, we started working on the OBX, and we developed it in 7 months, and then showed it at the NAMM show, again at the NAMM show, in the summer of 1979 in Atlanta. So it's been an interesting history.
Yeah, well, the new synth is amazing, and thank you very much for your time today, Tom. It's been great to speak to you.
And my condolences to Dave Smith's family and friends and all the people that work. It's a very sad situation because Dave was an amazing person.
Yeah, and I guess his memory lives on in products such as this, you know, he's still kind of here with us through them. Thanks very much, Tom.
Okay,
nice to speak to you.
Yeah.